A thought-provoking film that leaves an impression on you from A24 Studios. That is what I'll be getting into today. What's good people? Welcome back to the channel here on Crew Boy Productions and the Silly, Nerdy, and Wordy podcast. And this is going to be episode 117 on the new independent film from A24 Studios, Backrooms. Now consider this my late nerdy review. I was not expecting to see this film, but I was encouraged and I'm glad I did. Now, typically I do not really do too much horror films, but this Backroom film was very interesting. It was very unique. It just made me think about the filmmaking process even more, watching this type of film, and it was just so interesting. Story-wise, I felt like it went a lot of different directions. Of course, speaking of directions, this film is directed by Kane Parsons, stars Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renate, who portrays Mary, and Chiwetel portrays Clark. I just want to key in on those two in terms of the cast. As I was watching this film in the theater, it made me think of a lot of different roles, different departments that contributed to the way this film was and how it was going. This film is categorized as a horror film, which it is, but this is a spoiler review. But the horror does not really come into play until halfway in this film, in the second act of the film, I would say. And the story goes, like I said, in different places. It focuses on the therapist as a child, and then she's an adult, and then she sees her childhood home being ripped apart, and she takes a little piece of it with her. And then I want to go back to the beginning. I'm just going to go bouncing all over the place here. But it was a long open for this film, and the way it started, it almost gave you, from a camera angle perspective, the, Witcher project, those type of, the way that it was filming. But it was just interesting, just starting out the way it started out with just someone behind the camera moving, breathing, not saying too much until eventually he did start to talk. Now, there's a lot of technical things I want to mention and people and departments and how this film was done, which is very impressive. Starting off, the camera work by the whole camera people and the departments, especially how this thing started, was very interesting. It was very unique. And then also right away, this film is, of course, it's set in the 1990s. So one thing that comes to mind for me, a lot of things come to mind, but more so in this opening part of the film is the prop master. The prop master, who is Dana Bontempo, and the whole property team, as well as production design. But the prop master, I thought about that role in the beginning because we're in the 1990s. So the prop master has to get all of these type of things to be set in this current year, which includes the cars, which includes the furniture, but more importantly, in the opening moments of this film, the equipment that is on the table that you see, the old cassette players, this audio video equipment, the microphones and all the old stereo and the recording systems and all of that stuff, getting that stuff to work, or at least being able to have for the actor to interact with, having that there in the opening frame, and then eventually the cars and the type of cars, the style of furniture, obviously the clothes of the wardrobe, but having that equipment set in this period of the 1990s, that I think was a very important role. So shout out to the prop master, Dana Bontempo, and the whole property team. And then that was a long open, just filming in that building, in those hallways, and just going room after room. And then it's just the concept of this type of film and the vision from the director, Kane Parsons, and then just the execution of it. Everything was just so very unique in how this was filmed and how it was executed. The editor comes to mind, the whole editing department. The editor is Greg NG. So shout out to the editor and the whole editorial team. The cinematographer comes to mind, which is Jeremy Cox and the whole team. The way this movie was filmed in these areas, in these tight spaces, and the camera and just getting in there, as well as electrical. It's just very, very interesting. The set decorator comes to mind, the rooms that they were going in, the setups must have had to do these things, all the different rooms that this kept going and going and going and going, all the different setups and the way it was with the clothes everywhere in the bathrooms and this and all these things in the room. So shout out to the set decorator, which is Trevor Johnston, and that whole production design team. Production designer is Danny Vermette. Shout out to that person as well. The way this film was designed in all the different rooms, and it's just an interesting concept, going in room after room after room, and they're all different and unique and different ways to enter the rooms. And then it got to a certain point later in the movie where you kind of see a little bit in that trailer where the camera is just going down room after room after room and after room. And then we actually see that in the film where it just goes from room to room to room to room. Just made me think like a lot in how they executed filming this. And then also, I didn't mention in the opening at the film, it was just the one person behind the camera filming, trying to get out or get help. The sound design, just getting the sound right at the beginning, at the top of the film, that was interesting too. So the whole sound and mixing department, big props to them as well. And then just the story-wise, it just felt it went in different directions. With Clark's character, it started off with him having issues with his ex-wife, and then obviously he's on his own trying to figure things out. He's struggling. And then he discovers this rooms, and he goes and tells his therapist, which is Renate, portrays Mary. And then he goes back and tells her. He goes back and he doesn't come back. She then eventually goes and tries to find him, but then they come together, and there's this interesting, unique, weird, and a little bit scary interaction that happens. And then he goes away, and then eventually she's trying to escape, and then it focuses on her, and then you don't really see Chiwetel Ejiofor again until the picture that's shown in the interview, and then the person that's looking at them in terms of viewing it from the other side of the camera. There are people looking and observing this, and they're aware of it. And you see all these people in the clothes and whatnot, and it's just interesting. And then how it ends doesn't very creepy how it ends. And then taking it back to the beginning of the film where the child and the mother and not going outside and her child at home, and showing all the different places stuck in the ground in terms of the rooms. Like, was it all just in somebody's mind? So it's a very, to me, very thought-provoking, interesting film. And just the whole filmmaking process, it just made me think about all of the different departments that had a hand in creating this film and executing it. So all the departments I mentioned, that were very important, along with everyone else that I didn't mention. But those are the departments that really, really stood out to me. And this was a little bit of the horror aspect as well, which freaks me out, but it was all right. I think that is all I want to say. So I can see why this film is currently doing so well that it knocked the Star Wars film out of the top spot in their second week. They had a dramatic drop. You can see why this film is doing well. So, but of course, June is a stacked month with more films to come, which I'm looking forward to seeing all of them, the big ones and the smaller ones. But I think that is all I have to say about this film. I just wanted to talk about it, which I didn't know I was going to be seeing it, but I'm glad I did. And that is all I have for now. If you like these type of nerdy breakdowns, subscribe to the channel here on Crewboy Productions and the Silly, Nerdy, and Wordy podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And you can find me on TikTok with the shorts at Nerdy Podcaster 124. And that is all for now. So I hope all of you guys have good vibes for the rest of your day. And until next time, we will talk soon. Hello there. You stayed to the end. Thank you so much for watching and listening. If you like these type of nerdy breakdowns in movies and live Broadway, TV coverage, and industry insights, hit the subscribe button here on YouTube and subscribe to the Silly, Nerdy, and Wordy podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. Just hit the subscribe button. And you can also follow me on TikTok at Nerdy Podcaster 124. Just hit the follow button. It's free. And again, thank you so much for watching and listening. And I'll see you in the next one.